Anyway, though, have you seen that pound?
Oh my God,
Ah,
it's fucking
yeah,
disgrace, isn't it?
crazy.
Well, it's basically the same.
It's come up. There was a bit of recovery today, when London market opened, I believe.
With the pound.
Yeah.
Yeah, so pound, this today, what happened was, they already announced that they're heading into a recession, and to make matters worse, they announced tax cuts. They also removed the cap that bankers' bonuses. The bankers, I don't understand why they removed the cap that bankers' bonuses from so that they can make more money.
Yeah,
I
because
don't know why
obviously the Tories have fucking done that straight away.
Yeah.
The new
Yeah,
fucking what's her name? The new Prime Minister, Lizard Truss or whatever her name is. She's
Yep.
fucking. She's just
Lizard. Lizard Truss.
She's just done that straight away. Fucking slag.
I always
And
think
also-
there's a lot more to this though. Like if you think,
Yeah.
it's a weird time to do it. If you think right now, the only real comparison for a lot of people that are, I don't know, millennials, is 2008's financial crisis, and bankers got big payouts from that as well. So it's interesting. Like, what was the repercussion? And like, it's something I think I need to dig into.
Well, the repercussion of that was more homeless, wasn't it? And more, and have loads of people that lost their mortgages in their houses. But that was did that because of that, wasn't it? Do you know what I mean? And now people are still recovering today from that downfall. So if there's another downfall and we haven't recovered properly from the last downfall, it's even worse, isn't it? Because the pound, do you think the pound will ever be worth what it was?
I don't think so. Right now, obviously, Michael, you shared that article. Just pull that article up for me, please. Or someone pull up that article.
Ooh, 1 sec. Let me see. It's about the where is it?
Basically, Bank of England.
Oh yeah,
meddling.
yeah. I was gonna get into this. 1 minute. Let me open the article I have. Yeah. So I mentioned how they've been messing up, and that's why the pound has been falling, aggressively. So what happened today was, Bank of England did something interesting. They at last realized they're messing up, So with tapering, right? When the Fed or the central banks taper, that means they are selling off bonds, right? And when they're selling off bonds, they are increasing interest rates. Yeah, but what happened was, because of the pound just tanking, they went into temporary bond buying. Basically, they went back into monetary easing, right? Which is the opposite of tapering. So they, instead of selling bonds, they started temporary buying bonds. So gilt here is what it's UK bonds, right? UK government bonds. That's what gilt is. So they said for temporary for a while, I think till October. Where was it? Let's see. They'll continue temporary purchases of long-dated UK government bonds from 28th of September. So this is quite interesting. I actually never seen a central bank do this, like literally revert to easing for temporary for a little while. This shows you how bad things are in UK. That if they're taking such a big step, like suddenly in the middle of tapering, right, while raising interest rates, suddenly they have bought their temporary purchasing program. Yeah,
I think it's necessary there though. Like if you, it's this is what I was saying before. All of this energy crisis comes at the cost of the consumer, and they've got to appease. Obviously, there's elections coming up as well. They've got to appease voters in some way. So being the party that dropped taxes, and also taking into account this policy change as well.
Yep. So that's the main reason why they delayed. They'll go back. See, they also mentioned how dysfunctional it is at the moment, the gilt market, because I think the yields were like going down, even though the interest rates were going up. That was the issue, and I think I feel like this is just a Hail Mary, from what I see, because this is just a curveball. I think they threw it just how Bank of Japan intervened the market last week. It's kind of funny, actually, if you think about it. Bank of Japan intervened by buying JPY, right? So they're buying JPY and they're selling US dollar. Therefore, they're propping up the JPY. what's funny about this is the Bank of Japan is the one printing Japanese yen, but who's buying the Japanese yen? Ministry of Finance in Japan. So it's like you can see how their Ponzi scheme is kind of collapsing. Like they've been trying to finally dance between deflation and inflation, right? So now everything's kind of toppling over, yeah. And that's what we're seeing with all kind of central banks at the moment.
I think
So this
there's
was
a lot more to
yep.
this though. Like right now, I would say it's more of a battle of monetary policy. As every
Exactly,
other
yeah.
currency goes down against the dollar, this is really a battle against monetary policy, and the US is screwing every currency that isn't pegged to it. And there could be a longer game plan here. If you can pull every currency and devalue the whole currency against the dollar and force them into effectively taking the dollar standard or pegging, it could be a political move. And I don't know if it's enough, if it's joined up enough to be that, but it feels like it is. The moves or the strategy of the US almost forces it. So, and I think
it makes sense, but I think personally, I think US everyone has some way with the central bank have fucked up with the deflation issue, with the inflation issue. And if you just look at how we predicted recession so long time ago, just with the technicals, it was a correction that had to happen eventually, right? So I
yeah,
just
but
think that is just
these are government agencies. Like, we have to be realistic here that these are actuarial scientists being paid a significant sum of money. There's no way they didn't see what was coming.
yeah.
Do you know, like this is what I'm saying, that there is a much bigger plan going on here, and like these are just press releases. They're skewed, they're worded in a way that they're interpreted in another way. I know a guy, he's a developer, he's got a programming institute, and he basically developed a program that interpreted Bloomberg and gave a buy or a sell signal. So depending on the wording of people talking in interviews, he was able to predict what the market was doing. Like, there's the wording of these things is so crucial, and to think that all of these central banks and all of these major economists didn't see this coming, like they've seen this, and I reckon it's been seen for a much longer than we see it coming. You don't quantitative ease for over a decade and not have the repercussions of it. And now
if you look back to April as well, just what you said about the kind of joining up with the dollar, it was released that the government was setting out plans in the UK to legalise the stable coins. I think I shared the article, making stable coins legal tender in the UK.
Oh yeah, that's yeah, that happened this week. They were discussing about the stable coins during the digital conference that happened yesterday. So they all are for CBDCs. They want to legalize the CBDCs at the moment, and they also they don't like.
Back in April as well, though, well before this came out, and I was thinking, would it be? It was kind of in the wake of the Terra collapse as well, so they were using that, saying this is a bad example of a stable coin, and then obviously this is where USDC have kind of captured the market. I was thinking it was going to be, when they say stable coin, I'm thinking a crypto stable coin, but you think it will be a CBDC?
Yeah. Well, I think
would you call it? Are they the same thing?
Well, no, obviously a CBDC is something issued by a centralized authority.
Central bank.
Yeah. But I know like Circle have obviously done very well in the US and look very primed to almost be adopted. They've also come on board. I think they've released the euro and their GBP now. So if they're making the same positions within there, and obviously having the US as a big project reference, and as far as they have gone with regulation now, I think there is possibly a chance that could also be taken up. But the options are out there. Like I don't think they're being they're pilot programs at the moment. So they're like being for certain industries or being delegated to a specific demographic. That's the way they're running it.
I'm just thinking if like the pound collapses, are we going to be using stable coins then? The US dollar stable coin?
Well, how do you get everyone to basically, I don't think any of those sort of level 3 centralized platforms that allow everyday citizens to interface are ready yet. They haven't gone through that process. I think we're years away, in all honesty. I think CBDCs will exist on a, I would say on a government level and on a sovereign level for intergovernment transactions for a while before we get applications and wallets that will be issued directly. I actually think they'll be issued directly by governments.
Yep,
Yeah,
actually, that's a
definitely.
good point. That's exactly what Powell said in the speech. It'll take it'll take a while, few years, and they want to issue the ledgers and everything,
Of course, they have to have that
the
control,
wallets.
and that's
Yeah.
probably what that's why when you mentioned about the decentralized finance, like why is that being brought up? There's really two approaches here. Like they're not wanting to let go of centralization. It's very, very clear. Whereas you've got the other side of the world, and this is where there's this war, this proxy war that's going on right now, where just as you've got like where the politics in the US is so far left and so far right, we're now seeing that with this war where one's doing one thing and the other's going to go do completely the opposite. And there's a few situations of this, and like one of them more recently was the space treaties that have been signed. There was one that basically said that any missions to the moon is not dominated by a single territory, and any minerals and resources will be are for the good of all of humanity. And China and Russia refused to sign it, where they want to actually claim domain like sovereign territory. So we're going to have like another colonization phase.
Interesting times.
Very, very interesting times. But yeah, I saw that that pound relief obviously brought the dollar down a little bit. We saw a bit of relief on BTC as well.
With dollar, I think for personally, just think this is a tiny retracement. You see how it's been just shooting up. I think this is just a healthy retracement that it's required after this kind of liquidity move. I think it needs to come down here, test these areas, yeah, and before taking off. But if you remember, I mentioned once 110 on the dollar here breaks this area, I think we're gonna be seeing that directly. We'll be seeing the highs over here, right? And if you see the momentum that's been going on for the past, and exactly look at the momentum here, I think it's gonna go all the way to the top here at almost till 120. Yeah, I think it's just a retracement, so other pairs can grab liquidity from the top.
Oh yeah, definitely. This is very intense though. Like looking at that volume and comparing it, there's far less. You can actually see it on that angle that you've got there. There were retracements on that last run back in, I think that's the 2002 run.
Yep.
Am I correct? Yeah. There's
Yeah.
retracements there that don't exist on our run up now, showing a
Yeah.
hell of a lot more volume there. But I think also take into account there's a lot more money around in the markets than there were back then. A lot more traders, a lot more investors. So that's also something else to take into account, which is exactly why we'll probably break these highs with significant momentum.
Yep. Throughout this whole week, all I've been seeing is dollar breaking highs. Like I kept moving my this yellow line here, I kept moving it out. This would be like an indication on the highs. Today I put it here and it kept breaking up. So this is a healthy retracement. It has to happen. Nothing can forever keep going up, right? And so this week we did not have the technical call, yeah, but I did do the technicals. I think I sent it in the group. Let's see which ones hit this week. Yep, GJ has been extremely volatile, extremely volatile. These small candles are all big. Like even if you look at this candle, it's like each big one of these candles are 100 pips, 200 pips, yeah. And at the moment in the market, we're seeing like a lot of spreads, very high spreads because of the volatility. Yeah, I didn't take any trade this week, but I think the trade was called out here, this area here, and we had that massive move. I think this move happened in 5 minutes. I think it dropped 600 pips in 5 minutes or some shit, something crazy. Yeah. Yeah, if you see this move here, that's 500 pips, right, in 5 minutes. So the move happened, but if you were lucky enough to catch this with the weekly technicals, that's good. So that got hit on the weekly technicals. On GU, same thing. Yeah, we had the same move. I have even mentioned it here at 1.08. We had a big move happen. Yeah, so that worked out. Gold, yeah, gold was a very interesting. We had gold move, I think. Let's see. That's GU, GJ. Yeah, gold, we had the short at 1640. 1640 here, yeah. So we got the big move here on gold. So gold got hit as well from this week. Only things that haven't got hit is the crypto. Crypto has been consolidating in the range that I mentioned. Like if you see here, I still haven't seen it tap either way because it's just been consolidating this whole week. Let's look at Ethereum as well.
I think on the crypto side of things, we're very much in a trader's market. I was looking at some of the on-chain analytics, and something like 80% of the BTC hasn't moved in the last like 6 months.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyone that's holding BTC and they're all long-term holders, that's kind of what it implies.
Yeah, that makes sense because it's a risk-off mode, right? So investors don't want to invest in risky assets. So people who truly believe in the functionality of Bitcoin are probably the ones holding it, which makes sense. Even with Ethereum, we haven't seen any move happen. It's been consolidating sideways. ETH BTC as well, kind of made a tiny move. Yep.
Long-term holder of BTC.
Nice.
My man.
I've actually started to just DCA like in now on pretty much a weekly basis.
No, just on the BTC from my groups or whatever. We are expecting around 14,000, and we already started DCAing it since it started falling down to from the 20,000 onwards, because at that time we expected it's going to go to around 16, 17. It did drop down to 17. Again, it's keep going 20, 21 and back. Now we are looking at it in the range of 14 to 12, but we do not, in the very, very extreme case, we see it as around 10, 9.5, 10. Yes, 10, 5 to 9. But then that's like extreme. Other than that, 14,000 is probably where I'm all in.
I see 13.5 as a very nice level. I'm still looking at that 13.5.
13.5. Okay, yeah, right there. Yeah, I'll mark this out. Yep.
I see it's quite a nice level, but like I called a $1,000 move in the group. Was it last week or earlier in the week? And I believe we're now gearing up for another $1,000 move to the downside.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nisam, I think for me, I'll start DCAing once it hits 12,000 only.
No, I think that'd be too late.
Bro, I called Bitcoin at 19K months ago. I think just by looking at the state of the economy and how Jerome Powell wants to rise hike rates all throughout 2023, it makes sense that Bitcoin can reach these levels. Yeah. So personally, it's me. I'm a trader. So if you're someone who believes in Bitcoin, it makes sense to DCA all the way through. But for me personally, I think I'll start DCAing once it breaks the 12,500 level. And then I'll start...
Yeah, sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, finish.
Yeah, so personally, that's what I'm looking at, 12,500, probably at the 10K level and then the 5K level.
But that's a lot of people
5K
selling
level. No, 5K level is we are done. I'll close. I'll go to Manali and then that's it. 5K, I'm gone, bro. Don't say that.
This guy is the biggest pessimist.
No, I mean, the reason being 5K, which again, everything is possible. We have seen that over the period of time, anything is possible. But 5K, A lot of big institution, Michael Saylor is getting it liquidated. All these Binance, all of them will be
Yeah.
like, it's going to be really
Definitely.
crazy. Unless Binance gets hacked or they go after CZ or something like that, then because there were rumors going around that something going on with Binance, I was like, okay, if Binance get affected, that means crypto is definitely going to the BTC is definitely going to 2000, which is very doubtful.
Yeah, that's
the
true.
reason why I started buying
seriousness.
from 20,000 onwards was because
Mhm.
at that time it didn't look like that, and again, it was I wasn't introduced to you guys and everything. But again, now I keep DCing it, I keep buying it, and I keep staking it. So from the rewards, it's okay because there's no particular what is the bottom. I don't know, So nobody knows. So it's okay. If I buy for at 12,000 or 14,000, it's fine because in the bigger picture, it's fine. But I don't want to miss that 14,000 either. Now, since you mentioned it, probably I'll keep another 30% to I'll DC it and 30% keep for 12,500. And if I don't get 12,500, you'll have to meet me then.
Definitely. I'll call it. I'll call BTC going under 10K. Yeah. And after a few months, let's see. Let me call it 10K BTC under 10K. Next year, probably. Yeah. If you see that, then I think you guys need to do something special for me.
If BTC doesn't go under 10K, you've got to do a live show with your face.
Bro, if
Interesting.
BTC goes under 5, I have nothing to offer you after that.
I don't think it's happening. I don't think it's happening. 10.5. 10.5 is the level.
Let's see.
What's the all-time lows of BTC?
According to my chart here, it's 3,006.
That's 3,006 something in 2020 as well.
There.
Oh, we don't have any. Yeah, so like.
Let me go into the monthly chart actually.
We want the bear market lows.
Yeah,
3,000.
I'm not sure why this is not showing.
3,000 something.
This is showing me the low, absolute low here.
You need to change your broker.
20. Yeah, I'm not sure. Was it this is Binance?
Don't go with the perpetual. Just go with the BTC.
Oh yeah, actually that makes sense. Yeah, here we go. The lows absolutely 2018, 2017 was around 2,800.
Yeah, we need a more historical chart.
Yeah, I think we need that 2014 chart.
That time it was again, it drops down to 85%, and I think max it has dropped down to 88%.
Every time, yeah, it's generally about 85%.
Yes,
we only need
from there it bounced back.
Candle.
So how much has it
fallen? One of them candles in it.
Richard Hart said 10.5 when it was at the top. So when he called the top, he did say 10.5, and if it hits 10.5, that man's ego will actually blow up.
We're looking at 78%, 76%.
Yeah, from the top all the way to the bottom, it's corrected 73%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And 80% makes it around 14,000, if I'm not wrong.
80%. Yeah, actually, let's look at it. 80. You said 85% is max, right? So
yeah, 85. Yeah. 87, if I'm not wrong, though.
So 85 should be 87 should be around 8,700 something. Yeah.
Yeah.
8,800. So that's under 10K BTC. Let's see.
Oh, Ben, sure.
But it makes sense. Like if you just look at the chart, yeah, and you look at the price gaps that's left in the market. If you look at here, that's at around 11K. And if you see the other price gaps here, that price gaps is at 9,250 around there. And I think that's about it. That's the only price gaps I see. Yeah, there's one here. This is the last price gap. And this is at 7,500, 7,600 level. So if it does, it makes sense that it might, market usually does something like this. It needs liquidity. It comes all the way down. Yeah. And if you just look at the previous chart from 2019, it has corrected all the price gaps from 2017 onwards all the way to 2020 of March. And after the March, when it took off, we have price gaps in the market. That's why my bias is under 10K BTC. That's the only reason.
So you're basing it off the price gaps that exist?
Yep.
But
That's
also,
why when
MM,
I see, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, go ahead. No, finish.
That's why when I did see this move here during 2020, and this is why I always knew price would eventually have to come through here. And my bias, once price started hitting here and started switching trends, right, which I mentioned before, after I saw this head and shoulders as well, I knew that price has to eventually come down and fill up these gaps. Yeah, this is why I sold my crypto off, not at the top, but somewhere here. Yeah, go ahead, Nissan.
Again, BTC has been very strangely following Nasdaq. Very cool.
Yeah, it makes
if
sense.
yes, so if you're expecting a recession where Nasdaq and all of them will go down, so definitely BTC will go down and might touch those levels, but for how long? Probably a week and then go back. I don't know. We don't know.
I think there's there is a factor that might change it. It's if regulation comes in, the only reason it follows S&P is because of there's no regulation that sits behind it. So as soon as you're able to categorize what the fuck anything is, like what each token is, if it's a security, if it's a coin, what its function is, I think then we'll start to see different price patterns, and that's the sort of that decoupling. But yeah, for now, like until there's no, unless the regulation comes in, it will always trace. That's why when like all of the sort of PR during the bull market, oh, it's gold, there's inflation, like yeah, there's an inflation, but it's not gold.
Yeah.
It makes sense why it follows Nasdaq, because when the market is on a risk-off mode, assets such as crypto, Nasdaq, stocks, all of these fall. Yeah. So it makes sense. But if you just look at the US 30 chart, the Dow Jones, and if you see how it's been printing this way, this insane move, this is not healthy, right? This is just fake. This is just fake move, right? Because the Federal Reserve have been printing money all throughout this, and just heavily, a lot of money in the market. A lot of they started buying a lot of bonds, and actually they even buy securities off the books by exchanging these securities to the bank and buying these options. Yeah. So if you just look at this is unnatural. Like market has to eventually correct this move. And same thing with BTC. If you see how this move occurred in 2020, it's same thing with BTC. Yeah. If you look at BTC, same thing occurred during 2020. It's not natural. This move is not natural. It's just all the money printing that happened, right? So eventually price has to come down, fill up these gaps. Yeah. And the bear market is not like, it's not surprising. It had to happen. Yeah. Just looking at the DXY as well. If we see how it broke through when the interest rate hike happened. Yeah. If you think about the dollar itself, dollar doesn't have like, it's like it doesn't really mean anything. Like dollar doesn't really have any value. It's a value that's made up. Yeah. Dollar had some value back in the 1980s, before the 1980s, before Nixon took it off the gold standard. Yeah. Once he took it off gold standard, that's it. The dollar had literally no backing. Yeah. Because back in the day, you could have gone to the teller at a bank, exchange your dollar for gold. But once he realized that there is not enough gold to back the dollar, he took it off. And that's when all of the massive money printing happened during the Nixon era, right? This is why I keep mentioning Nixon era. That's because the moves that happened here during this. And if you think about Nixon era, this was extreme, right? Because they increased the rates to 20%. I'm not sure if that will happen this cycle, this recession cycle. If that happens, that would be absolute insanity. But if you look at the macros and the amount of money that's been printed compared to the Nixon era, we are even in a way worse position, right? This is why I keep referencing to Nixon era every single time. Yeah. So that's why I see crypto winter eventually happening. This is probably crypto winter, even though you guys are optimistic.
What's the
Yeah.
I don't want to close my miners.
Obviously, we're like, this is like stagflation territory. Like we've got massive inflation. We're in a recession. Like, what's the consequence of them balancing of QT with QE? So taking that liquidity up through raising rates, but then also buying their own bonds.
Exactly. I've never seen two type of monetary policies mix up, right? Just by thinking about it, I think interest rates being high, like it doesn't make any sense. Like they're injecting liquidity into the market, right? But at the same time, the interest rates are high.
Well,
So
they're draining the liquidity from the market and then injecting it somewhere else.
yep. Yeah, so they're buying up bonds, right? So they're buying up
Yeah.
a lot of the bonds. So they're I think it's just a facade, you know. That's why they're just propping up the British pound for a while. That's it. Because British pound reached insane levels. Even if you look at the chart here with GBP and USD, we reached like crazy lows. Even I don't think my chart even goes. See, if you see the chart right here, we almost reached $1 equal to one British pound, right? Parity. So so they had to do something. They had to intervene. I think this is just a Hail Mary, yeah, in my opinion. And once they come off from this temporary buying program, and still if their policies remain the same, the tax cuts and everything, British pound has to eventually drop. I think in the futures market, they have bet, I think, the higher side that it's going to reach $1, right? $1 is equal to one British pound. So I think it's just temporary, in my opinion.
See, it's an interesting one because, like, obviously, like reducing rates, you're moving capital to like the retailer and the consumer, but increasing rates, but then also buying back bonds, you're basically taking that liquidity and you're investing it into the government.
Yep.
So
Exactly.
is this, but once again, like this is what I'm saying, it almost sounds very agenda driven. Like if you were to move towards a more socialist country, you would need all of that liquidity sitting at the top and as much of it as possible. Like that's the only way communism functions. And I'm seeing it time and time again in all of these countries where they're draining the liquidity all the way to the top. And it's the only way a socialist country would function was if that liquidity sat there. And that's where I think the Great Reset is that you take the liquidity up to the top.
Civilization could survive, really, you know. If you think about it, someone money like a monetary civilization, it's only the way they could survive. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, it makes sense. You're saying that there's the only way, like it can't collapse. You're saying it's too big to fail.
No, I'm not saying it's too big to fail because it will fail. It will definitely fail. I believe it will fail. But it's the way it's the monetary system, isn't it? The way it is. It's based on debt, isn't it? So when you buy them bonds, they buy the bonds. It's not cash, is it? They then owe the bond. They then owe the people they got the bonds off the cash for that. So that's why money's with debt, and that's why obviously, obviously you know yourself, don't you? You know what I mean? You just explained it better than I could.
Yeah, exactly.
all
So
debt.
bonds are debt, right? So it's a fixed income instrument. So once they take it, they have a fixed income instrument because the interest rates usually with bonds are fixed, right? They're not nowadays, they are variable, some bonds, but usually it's fixed. So them doing that is basically they're injecting they're injecting their money into the economy, trying to prop up the British pound. Later down the road, when they start selling again, it's going to drop, how the US dollar has been, right? So when they start increasing interest rates again, which they will, British pound is going to go even down, right? But US dollar has been dominating everything at the moment. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with British pound and US dollar. Yeah.
Interesting. I wonder what the Americans are up to. They're always up to something. Them Americans, aren't they?
Do you reckon it's still better to keep your money in dollars than pounds then?
Yeah, dollars. Do you have a dollar
Definitely.
account?
No, I was going to ask, what's the best way to go about that? Can I use something like Revolut and just keep it in dollars?
Yeah.
Would that work? Yeah.
That would
Put it
probably
in
be your
dollars,
easiest way to, yeah, that would probably be your easiest way. But now you can read charts. I would look to see where you get a retracement.
Yeah.
Yeah, just wait for this thing to happen. If this breaks, this is an interesting inflection point. If price does reach 119, 120 area on the DXY, if it breaks through this, then we will see something absolute insanity happen like this, right? So at the moment, I've also mentioned in the weekly fundamentals, the word file I sent out, cash is king, right? Because even the housing market has to go through a correction. Actually, it's funny. Actually, let's look at the fundamentals this week. We had fundamentals. I saw the housing market was interesting. We had interesting. Yeah, if you see the US dollar home sales, it came in way higher, right? It came in way higher than the forecast. This shows that a lot of people have seen the news about house correction. A lot of people have started buying up houses. Yeah. But in my opinion, I think this will be a lot of these people are going to get wrecked. I think these people FOMO'd in. Yeah. Yep, house prices are going to drop. They're going to correct, because usually the real estate market takes a much longer time to correct, right? For the correction to happen, even compared to the stock market and stuff, right? Yeah, and if you look at the consumer confidence, which came out this.
What about in the UK, where this is more of a genuine need for housing now? Is it going to be a bit more delayed?
I believe so. I'm not up to date with the UK market. Just by looking at how the currency is at the moment, I don't think people are going to be confident at the moment to be buying up houses, right?
And always
when the pound crashed the other day, they cancelled a lot of mortgages out. So people who'd signed mortgages, the bank had pulled them when the pound had crashed. That was in that article that's in.
Yeah, exactly. Because even if you think about the mortgages are so high, the rates of mortgages are very high. So consumers wouldn't be fond of buying these houses at the moment, right? Yeah. So and also this number that which came out with the US dollar, the consumer confidence, it came in higher, way higher than the forecast. What this indicated to the Federal Reserve is that they're going to keep on hiking rates even aggressively as they have been. This is why US dollar is going to still get stronger, right? Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just talking to myself, sorry.
Yeah. So Powell, we had a speech with Powell that we mentioned about the digital currencies. He didn't mention much about the economy. I was watching this live, so nothing there. And if you look at Richmond Manufacturing Index, it came in 0, right? It was supposed to come in at -10. So this number also shows that the Federal Reserve can hike rates further, right? So that means the US dollar is going to get stronger. This is the stats that came in today. We saw the pending home sales here, and look at the pending home sales. It came at -2%. Yeah, way lower than the forecast and the previous month. We had this Powell speech today, but this is an orange folder. The reason is because this is a pre-recorded video, right? And he didn't mention anything interesting about the economy. So that's interesting. But tomorrow, I think we have big news. We have GDP, yes, US dollar, and they have forecasted for this to come the same as previous month, stagflation, right? So if we see, I think if we see a lower GDP number, I think that makes the US dollar weak, right? If it comes higher, that makes the US dollar strong. So GDP number will be interesting tomorrow to see. Usually gold gets affected with GDP numbers and commodities, even Bitcoin, I think. Unemployment claims is forecasted to come in a little bit higher from the previous month, which makes sense because they've been hiking rates and people are the jobs are not available as much as it used to be, right? Which shows that Federal Reserve's job is working with hiking rates. So this will be interesting to see what number comes in. Yeah. So this is what I'm looking at for tomorrow, and the last trading day of the week, last trading day of the month, and also the last trading day of the third quarter. We have a lot of news on Friday. So we have JPY unemployment rate. We have retail sales, which is coming in. It's big. Keep an eye out on that to see what's happening. Consumer confidence with JPY. We also have the GTV number of British pound, right? So this is a good one to keep an eye out on. With US dollar, we have core PCE price index. This might have some impact in the market. It's projected to come in higher, right? For the ones you don't know, it's personal consumption expenditure, right? PCE. So this has some. It differs from core PCI, but it does measure the consumption of individuals, right? So this is something to keep an eye out on, the core PCE, which comes on Friday. Yeah. Plus, if you want to keep an eye out, you can keep this. Sometimes you can keep this eye out on University of Michigan consumer sentiment. University of Michigan measures the consumer sentiment in the market, right? In this stat right here. So this you can keep an eye out on as well. What else with fundamentals? What did I mention last week? So I did mention something. I said that gold is severely undervalued because if you think about it, JPY and gold are safe havens, right? Money should technically be flowing to these instruments during times when the economy is uncertain, right? So I think gold is extremely severely undervalued. Gold just at the moment bounced off a very big support, right? So still, I have to wait to see what happens with gold. But at the moment, I'm still bearish, yeah, with gold. And then I also mentioned housing market will go through a correction, and I mentioned cash is king, yeah, just like I mentioned just now. You guys who are trading, MetaTrader was taken off from the Apple Store, and this is because USA is boycotting all the Russian apps and everything Russian, right? So they have taken it off from the App Store, from Apple Store, not on Android. Android is still available, so you don't have to
It
panic.
still works on iOS.
Yeah, it still
just,
works.
You can't download it. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what. So if you already have it on your phones, it's fine. If you don't have it, it's gonna be difficult to download it.
You
Yeah,
just
but
get
if you have,
the PKG file, but like it's very selective. All of these sort of boycotts and sanctions, like it's there's no real clarity on why we're blocking certain things. And then you've got I think the EU they're reducing or removing sanctions now on certain things like fertilizers
Yep.
to support themselves. Like it just doesn't make any sense.
yeah, I mean, Russia has literally cornered them, even with the Nord Stream pipeline, gas pipelines. It's been said that it was self-sabotaged, probably, right? So they're saying they've been cornering the whole of Europe pretty much.
Self-sabotage from who? From the
They're saying it could be Russia themselves, or it's speculation at this point, right? So they're saying it's Russia. It could be even US, because US never wanted Germany to be in to get their gas resources from Russia, and they have been forcing Germany to get the gas resources from US themselves. So they're saying probably US themselves might have done it, which makes more sense. So we don't know. It's all speculation. It's up to speculation at this point.
Came the day after the Nordic pipeline was opened as well. So it was just the day before that leak. They just opened the Nordic one from,
Yep.
it was Denmark, I think it runs from.
And yeah, so I
A
mentioned some
bit weird.
speculation here, by the way. I mentioned that one thing I've been looking at
Yeah,
all the articles.
Wait, hang on.
Yeah, go ahead.
Outdoors asking us weird questions, eh?
And
CIA knocking on all our doors.
yeah, let's just go. Let's
It's
just
happening
watch this
already.
video. Let's put this video on here and just recap from February. Is everyone here?
CIA. The CIA, that is something here, what we're on about. Just jumping out on the call.
I'm playing the sound, Aaron. You
Is
have
there
to share
sound?
the sound.
How do I make
no.
the sound work?
1 second. So shall I stop sharing?
Oh yeah.
It's already shared, Aaron.
It's sharing mine, I think.
How is it? Let me stop it.
Maybe because I'm the boss.
There's a way you have to share
you
the
go.
sound as well through.
Hit share sound on the top right. On the top right, you'll see
On the top
where the
right
thing
of what?
is, where the screen sharing thing is.
Oh,
You'll
yeah,
see share sound as well on the top right.
On the little bar that comes up?
Yeah, on the little bar on the top, which comes up, you'll see the options window.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah, there
I
you
got
go.
it. All right, 1 second. Oh man, you learn something every day, huh? Every day is a school.
You didn't mention it just now by
Reuters, Andrea, you got the first question.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Chancellor Scholz. Mr. President, I have wanted to ask you about this Nord Stream project that you've long opposed. You didn't mention it just now by name, nor did Chancellor Scholz. Did you receive assurances from Chancellor Scholz today that Germany will in fact pull the plug on this project if Russia invades Ukraine? And did you discuss what the definition of invasion could be? And then Chancellor Scholz, wenn ich Sie fragen darf,
if I may ask you, Chancellor Scholz, you said there was some strategic ambiguity that was needed in terms of sanctions. I just wanted to know whether the sanctions you are envisaging and the EU is working on, and the US as well, are already finished, finalized, or is there still work ongoing? And
also dass Sie das nicht sagen
Let's
wollen,
get
was
forward to
genau.
here.
First, if Russia invades, that means tanks or troops crossing the border of Ukraine again. Then there will be no longer a Nord Stream 2. We will bring an end to it.
How will you do that exactly, since the project and control of the project is within Germany's control?
We will, I promise you, we'll be able to do it.
This fucking guy did it. This fucking guy
It has to
did
be.
it.
That's what I'm saying, bro. He
Look
said
at
he was
him.
gonna do.
He's fucking said it. He called it. Look at his face. This fucking guy did it. Look at him.
The only thing you can sure of.
This fucking guy. This guy here. He fucking did it.
Don't be doing that, lad. You'll be...
This
Look
guy
at that
here.
flag behind him as well.
No,
Oh,
this
yeah.
guy here. He
The German
fucking
flag.
did it.
It's definitely
Okay, so this
between
makes
them and
sense.
the Russians. Yeah, but that's what. Yeah,
And there's
Military
that
helicopters.
was it.
yeah,
Oh,
I'm
wait,
hearing
no.
numerous of this, and I saw another report about a NATO mine laying operation in the area as well.
NATO mine.
This fucking guy.
Fancy.
Could just be Russian propaganda, though, as well. This is the thing. So obviously, Russia is trying to push the agenda that the West are attacking them, and they could just be using this to mobilize troops. So it could just be.
I would agree.
At the same time.
I would agree, but this is very much a US strategy. Like it's something they do over and over and over again. Very much also saying they're not going to do something, and they're the ones who are doing it. Like all through the war, like they've made claims that, oh, Russia's going to do this when it's actually them doing it.
Escalators.
Powers, didn't you?
It's
Escalate.
it's the media war. The media war is everything right now.
The media's owned by the bankers, though, isn't it? Same people who own the banks own the media.
Well, there was a CIA operation in the US where they basically planted like agents to manipulate the media. This is where the word conspiracy theorist came from. Like they actually created that word.
Sick. Nice that. That's it.
Aaron, you're still recording?
I'm fucking still recording. This is going live. Fuck everyone.
Thank God I never showed my face.
Everyone needs to know. This guy, he fucking did it. This guy, let's go back. This guy. Like, come on. Like, actually just confessed. Like, he preemptively confessed. Like, in like the most like James Bond villain way you possibly could.
Like if you went to court for it, lad, and that was you, didn't you get found guilty, wouldn't you?
Schönen Dank für Ihre Frage.
I promise you we'll do it. Like, come on. Also, this woman tripped me out as well. Like, she went from speaking like in a fluent American accent to fluent German. That was very impressive.
And she lifted the glasses up when she changed character.
That's the
look, lads, look, the avatar changed, look, the hair changes and everything. Changes into a lizard.
German mistress.
Here she's Karen.
Did you
here
see the
she's
journalist
Helga.
sitting in front of them?
Yeah,
The
look,
journalist
lads,
sitting in
look at
front of
that.
them.
Her. She
One of
changed her hair.
Lad, look at that, lads. Transformation, shapeshifter.
She's a lizard.
She cut
She's a
the
lizard.
pipeline. It was
She's
there
a-
who cut the pipeline.
With the teeth.
She's
Do you see the
probably.
journalist sitting in front of them? One put the headphones, the other one looks at it. Oh, I have the same as well. I should put them as well.
Look like a bird.
So this one does
He
that.
doesn't know what's being said.
Yeah, he has no idea. And then he looks at her. Oh, okay. Oh.
Oh, there it is.
Oh.
And they're sitting in White House.
He even when he wasn't listening, he actually pretended he understood fluent German. Oh, this fucking guy! Look at him.
Are you following what's happening in Iran, by the way?
Oh yeah, Ben. It's interesting. With the thing, I think Iran has also been going to war, info war, as Aaron mentioned, with Azerbaijan, right?
There's a lot. What do you mean? What did I mention? Azerbaijan.
With Azerbaijan.
Yeah, you were mentioning about info war, right? Information war.
Oh, there's an
So-
information war anyway.
Yeah, and I think things are escalating with Azerbaijan and Iran, I think, at the moment.
The Iran's there's escalating everywhere, but this is I think I said this before as well. Like Iran's controlled by a minority, and they have a big challenge on their hands in terms of sort of uniting the people, because all of the other subgroups that exist within Iran, and it's very culturally diverse. But that's what people don't realize, is that you've got Kurds, you've got Arabs within there as well. So trying to unite everyone is their hardest, because all of those populations are out on the outskirts in the mountains. So, and they're trying to sort of control that from a centralized area in Tehran. So it's a struggle for them. And I think now there's connections, there's VPNs, there's ways that people can access from outside. They're really struggling to control the population. The only reason I would say North Korea actually is an interesting one, because they've achieved what pretty much every dictator strives to achieve, which is nuclear capability. Because when you reach that point, you're a superpower, you're untouchable. So they've protected themselves. I think they declared that a few weeks ago. They've actually protected themselves from any possible war with the US from that aspect. Like, what's the terminology they use in regards to nukes? Basically, we've created something so powerful that
WMD.
Sorry?
Weapons of mass destruction. WMDs.
Yeah, so that's it. Like, so North Korea's done that, Iran's there as well. So it's an interesting one, because the US really can't put too much pressure on Iran from that aspect, and the region is not at its most stable. And if the US did destabilize it, it would probably see the allies that it has here almost turn.
No, I never seen it. No.
They had some sort of sorry, Matthew, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, we'd probably never turn our back on America. We wouldn't have the choice to turn our back on America, no matter what happened.
No, it was funny because yesterday or day before yesterday, there was a press meet because something is working on with the US and Iran. And they said, okay, so what's happening in Iran? Do you have to say anything? And he was like, oh, there are two separate matters. Because right now they want to work out something together. And because right now, if you see, they're cut off at the internet and there's a mass protest. It's like crazy what's happening there. And interestingly, all the neighboring countries to Iran, which is Syria, Iraq, to an extent Lebanon, Palestine, their supply chain, the food and all, it all goes from Iran. So if something happens over there, then there will be a big ripple effect on all these countries as well. Turkey, for that matter, to an extent, limited extent, but then yes, they are dependent on their fruits and vegetables and the dairy products as well. It's going to be a massive.
Turkeys are like I think Turkey's very, very secure. I think what Turkey's biggest concern is their president really wants to bring back the Neo-Ottoman Empire.
Oh yes.
And he's very much trying to expand along that Fertile Crescent. The works that they've done in Libya, obviously I've seen that firsthand. But even in Syria, did anyone see what I posted on Instagram? Actually, very interesting. There's a river in Iraq, and it's known for basically it's a very, very old river, and it's in the Bible, it's in the Quran.
The Euphrates, is that what you mean?
Yeah, exactly. And it's
That's what it is,
drying
the
up.
Euphrates, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's drying up, and like they just posted the article and they've shown pictures of how dry it is. And if you were to like read the Bible, for example, the book of Revelation says that when this dries up, it's basically the battleground for Armageddon. And then what they also say is something about like angels being beneath the ground that are released. And then in Islam, they say I think the Prophet Muhammad also commented on it and said that there was like some unknown amount of like a mountain of gold. And once again, this would be the battleground of war.
Fuck it, I'm done.
This is I've been saying this is the end of the world. Like it's too,
Aaron, what's your Instagram?
What's my Young Sun Tzu? I'll post it.
Sun Tzu.
Yeah.
Art of War.
This is the safest book ever written, that, you know.
It's the sickest book, and it's the way its applications like in everything.
I think Machiavelli. I reckon Machiavelli the Prince is just as good, though. You know,
Machiavelli the Prince is also a very good book, and it's almost the Bible for how like every country is run.
Yeah, it is literally. It is. It's how. But it all applies to real life as well. How to be like a figure, and it's just a boss. It's just boss, isn't it?
Be a prince.
I am a prince.
I can't find Young Sun Tzu on Instagram.
Young YUNG dot sun, and then I'll come up. I should really tell people to like, comment, and subscribe because this goes on YouTube. So like, comment, and subscribe because this goes on YouTube.
Like, comment, and subscribe, guys. Or this centipede will walk on your face.
Messam, I forgot to ask you something. Did your friend take the GER30 trade?
No, he didn't, and he was cursing me that because I didn't share it with him, and he was like, "Why you didn't do it?" But then, anyways,
it was a really good trade actually. It literally melted.
But I think he did something with oil or gas, one of these, and then he did good.
Oh, okay.
I'm not too sure about which one, but then he did good on that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. By the way, when we're having the next course, because I have 2 people who want to join the course.
Oh yeah, me and Aaron will be speaking about it soon because I've been doing a lot of research. Even I have a few people from my side who want to do it. It's just at the moment I just want to take a break, from it.
Okay.
So yeah, soon we'll do it because I think it's gonna help a lot of people to read the charts, especially during these times. So definitely, inshallah, we'll do it, definitely.
I think we just need a few weeks. I need a few weeks just to close off some projects at the moment. But yeah, it's definitely the cards. And I need a good catch up as well.
Yeah. By the way, yeah, go
ahead. Kim Kardashian's private equity company.
Yes.
Anyone see that?
She's not gonna leave anything which makes money.
She is all over, and the craziest thing is, didn't she partnered with someone from the Carlyle Group, like the biggest private equity company?
Yes.
Oh, that's crazy.
She got the CFO or someone.
Yeah, I'm like good on her. In all honesty, like you can't discredit like her hustle.
Mm-hmm.
But big moves. Did she? I think didn't she qualify as a lawyer, but she didn't pass the bar.
Yeah. When she hustled physically, yeah.
Yeah. She's actually put men in fucking rehab. Like she's fucked up. Oh, anyway, I need to go.
Oh, by the way, before you sign off, you gotta give it up to Kev. Kev was at negative 9.2% on his FTMO account, and he's already back up to break even.
Wait.
Let's go.
Nearly broke even, nearly that.
Come back.
Let's
Gotta
not get
respect
ahead of ourselves. Still just under 2% to break even, like, but fucking got 2 weeks to do it, man, so no bother.
Yeah, you didn't let your psychology get affected. Literally, you were almost down, almost blowing up the accounts. You got yourself back out. You gotta respect that. That was really good.
Nice one, man. Nice one, boys. Fucking, let's hope we
Kev.
can
Well done,
funded
man.
live.
How does Michael? How's it going for you?
I've just been practicing that strategy. I had a little 10% trade this morning.
Have you? Is it
But
back testing
I'm
all right?
still feeling. Yeah. Well, I've been back testing still, but doing forward testing. It's not as successful on gold, so I've got to stay away from that. But it's it's doing well. I'm gonna stick at it because I'm still battling my demons. Still got a bit of greed there, a bit of over trading. I couldn't help myself. Like I didn't even get any drawdown off that trade, so I went 10k up and then I lost 2.5k later on in the day.
Vengeance trade.
But overall, it's going well.
Yeah, but you're heavy
There was no vengeance there, I
leveraging.
was happy. No, that's me. It's part of my strategy. See the last two positions, the little 10s, that was an accident when I was trying to cash out at MT5. It's a bit different than MT4, but I'm not getting into drawdown, so I'm looking at them as free trades. So basically, if I don't get any negative drawdown, I've still got a maximum 5% loss that day. But I need to not look at it like that as well, because it's mad. I'm using. Have you read the Williams indicator?
No.
So it's basically there's this guy. He's a really good trader. I forget. I think it might be David Williams. I'll have a look on my notes. But basically, it's an oscillator like an RSI, but it uses overbought and oversold. I'm using it with an 8-period moving average, and basically got an alert set for when it hits that oversold zone, and I'm tying it together with me price action. So looking at areas of value when it's hitting those key areas, and I'm getting that basically sell signal from the oscillator. It's pretty much like I'm 90% accurate. I'm obviously taking losses as part of the game, but I'm getting those high RRs every time.
But yeah, look,
I'll
you're
break it
getting
down for you
confluences
next
there.
time.
Yeah, next time log in with your computer and give us a little demo of it.
Yeah, honestly, mate, it changed the game because even there was it was hitting like support and resistance areas, and it's not showing on this indicator, and it doesn't play out. When earlier on them day trades, I was looking at them zones, placing the trade, and then it'll hit consolidation. But even in areas of consolidation, when you get those big spikes of like getting big green candles and it hits that overbought area, it's a really good buy sell signal. But obviously, you've still got to check the markets and stuff because there was a wick just after my trade today. If I had held it any longer, I'd have got wicked straight out, maybe half an hour later. So you still have to pay attention to price action and the news events and stuff. But
well, it's just building
much spot
confluences.
on,
That's
I'd
just
recommend
another
it.
confluence, isn't it? So the more you build
Yeah.
alongside it, as you said, like it's another oscillator that's just mirroring an RSI and probably taking into account some more data points. So just adding more confluence.
So it's called the Willy %R. If anyone's interested, looking at it.
The Willy.
And then I just changed it. The Willy.
That's really.
But yeah, there's a few different ones, but that's the right one.
It just sounds to me like you searched in the wrong search bars for something.
Yeah, but check it out. But next time, yeah, I'll break it down and show you my stuff.
All right.
Only works in a 5 minute as well. 5 or 15 minute, but 5's the best.
Does Willie
Yeah,
trade the
thanks,
5 minute
bro.
only?
Willie only does 5 minutes.
All right. Peace out, everyone.
Thanks,
Thanks, Adam. Thanks, Adam.
Take care, everyone.
See you guys. Good night.
Catch you in a bit, but.